こんにちは。テニスソウルのお時間です。今回は曲がるスライスサーブの打ち方3ステップを紹介したいと思います。テニスでは多様なサーブを使い分けることが勝利への鍵です。その中でもスライスサーブは相手を揺さぶり、試合を有利に進めるための必須スキルと言えます。スライスサーブの最大の強みは横回転による独特の軌道です。コートの外側に大きく逃げていく軌道はリターンの難易度を上げるだけでなく、相手の体勢を崩し、その後のポイントの展開を有利にします。スライスサーブが打てない、3球目攻撃ができないという悩みを抱えている方は必見です。海外で人気のテニスコーチたちの動画を参考にスライスサーブのコツを紹介していきたいと思います。ぜひ最後までご覧いただき、スライスサーブをあなたの新たな武器にしてください。
We're going to have to master the toss. Right off the bat, if you're tossing too far to your left, you're going to notice that the slice serve is a lot harder to execute because your natural swing path will be oriented upward. So while tossing to your left is actually ideal for developing a kick serve, tossing to your left for a slice serve will actually hurt it. You should be making contact roughly over your hitting shoulder or your head. And this position here should feel relatively comfortable. You shouldn't be too high where you feel impinged or too low where you're starting to swing forward. Now this position here is also going to give you the added benefit of disguise. Now a common teaching instruction on the slice serve is to toss to your right. Now you might actually see this at your club because it's played at the rec level where they toss over to the right side of their body and then carve the serve, and it actually does work until it doesn't. While tossing to your right is a great tool to teach the initial feeling of creating side spin on the ball, the problem with this technique is that it signals to your opponent exactly what kind of serve you're going to hit. So instead, players like Federer will make contact right over their hitting shoulder and hit the slice serve and flat serve on the same exact toss. Now, of course, there is an exception to this if you have difficulty with getting a full range of motion with your shoulder. In this case, tossing a little bit more to your right and then making contact is going to take a lot of load off your shoulder.
One of the common misconceptions about hitting a slice serve is that you're either going to keep the racket on its edge and just carve along the outside of the ball, or even worse, that you're going to supinate and actually curl around the ball. Neither one of those are actually what happens when you hit your best slice serve. You should be pronating on all of your serves, topspin, flat, and slice. So let me explain this. I'm going to kneel down so you can see this. So here my strings are facing off to the left toward the strategy board. And here my strings are facing off to the right toward the stairs. So I've got 180 degrees of rotation while hitting the serve. And it doesn't matter, again, what serve I hit. Well, where in that 180 degrees is contact on a slice serve? When I pose that question to people who don't understand how to pronate when hitting a slice serve, in their mind, rotates 90 degrees. So here my strings are facing the strategy board. Here my strings are facing the wall. And then in their mind, the racket continues to rotate and goes on the wrong side of the ball. The ball goes the other direction and then continues to pronate. That's in their mind what happens when you hit, when you pronate hitting a slice serve, which is why it doesn't make sense to them. The way to understand pronation on a slice serve is to understand that more of the pronation happens after you hit the ball, not before you hit the ball. So what you want to think of is 70 degrees, meaning lead with the front edge while you present the strings to the ball to pronate. You still need the lead edge in front slightly. So let's say 20 degrees. Then after contact, there's 110 degrees of rotation after you hit the ball, right? On a flatter serve, you can think of it as 90 degrees, but you've got to still lead with the front edge. When you're hitting a slice serve, the ball leaves the racket and the racket just continues pronating. Now, when you do this, so in your mind, you have to swing, if you're right-handed, off to the right. The ball will go to the left, but it's not the left, it's actually straight toward the box. It's one of the reasons why players really struggle hitting a slice serve. Because on the flat serve, you might swing towards your target, but on the slice serve, you've got to swing off to the right. A lefty, it's no different. You've got to rotate the racket 70 degrees by the time you contact the ball. The ball leaves the racket, and then most of the pronation happens after. Now, what's because that's pretty complicated, right? Like, how are you supposed to control that and monitor 70 degrees? That's so ridiculous, right? Well, here's the easiest way to think of it. And I'll use the Topspin Pro deconstructor to explain this. You have to think of it as all of the pronation happens after contact. Now, we know this is not true, but it's a swing thought. And so an easy way to think of this is think of this is spin the ball, then pronate. Spin the ball, then pronate. Now, notice I'm swinging off to stage right, off to the right of the camera. But I'm not intending on hitting the ball that way. I'm swinging to the right and the ball goes left. So you have to think of it as spin and then pronate. Spin and then pronate. If that's what you think of when you're hitting your slice serve, you will stay on edge long enough that you truly get side spin while pronating. Watch the slow motion serve again. Watch how I get the side spin and I pronate.
Step number 3 now is to get a bit more power and to get a bit more width on that slice. So step number 3 is now really using my body and my leg drive to drive forwards into the court. So I'm going to change my ball toss slightly. I'm going to toss the ball slightly more in front. Now the reason I want to throw the ball slightly more in front is that my body is then chasing after the ball slightly. I'm driving with my legs, but also I want to feel that this right shoulder is actually coming towards the ball first. So I'm almost throwing my right shoulder into that ball. I'm almost imagining that I'm going to hit the ball with my right shoulder. So I've reached my trophy position, and as you can see, my back is slightly turned to the net. Now from this position, I want to now feel that this right shoulder is really rotating, coming forward, and this is almost leading the way to the ball. As I hit, I'm now opening up fully from here, from this position here, to that position, where my right shoulder is fully facing the net. So let's have a look. Now there, I got the power, I got the slice, but I want it a little bit shorter.
本日は曲がるスライスサーブの打ち方3ステップを紹介しました。1つ目はトスを頭上または右側に上げる。2つ目はプロネーションを行いインパクト。3つ目は体を開き方をボールにぶつける。でした。スライスサーブのコツをもっと知りたいという方は、ぜひコメントを残しておいてください。お待ちしております。今後、このようにテニス選手やテニスコーチ、テニスファンに役立つ情報をどんどん発信していくので、ぜひ、チャンネル登録、高評価よろしくお願いいたします。